22 years after the release of the original film, the sequel Freakier Friday releases in theaters this Friday, August 8th. Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back, and we are back to give you our spoiler-free thoughts. We hope you're ready because we're about to party like it's 2003. Let's go.
This is Popcorn for Breakfast, presented by St. Louis Area Smoothie Kings. Now, here are your hosts, Cam and Kirk.
Welcome back to Popcorn for Breakfast. We're so glad you're here. My name is Kirk, and with me, as always, is Cam. Oh, wait a second.
My mind is broken.
I'm taking a cheesy opener book page out of your book today.
That's right.
I was like, I had to do it. This would normally be an episode that you would open, and you would have definitely done something like that. So it caused me physical pain, but I did it for you.
Do you mean that we just got 30,000 new followers from that joke? Because
we might have.
Yeah.
So we had to throw in a Freaky Friday joke. It's Freakier Friday, not Too Freaky 2 Friday, which is what I wanted them to call it. There were a lot of good sequel options on the table. I can see why they went with Freakier Friday, but I can't help but feel like there were some good options left on the table.
Too Freaky 2 Friday, Tokyo Drift. I think that was the full title.
There it is. That would be good. But it releases in theaters this weekend. Lindsay Lohan is back. This is her first big theatrical release since...
excuse me, sorry to interrupt. Lindsay Lohan.
Is it Lohan?
Lindsay Lohan.
It's not Lohan?
I believe it's Lohan.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. I didn't know. I've always said Lohan.
We'll alternate throughout this whole episode, but
okay.
I just wanted to see which sticks.
But this is her biggest theatrical release for a really, really long time. I don't have the exact when her last one was, but it's first one in a long time. Jamie Lee Curtis is back. And then we also got a couple of newcomers as they expand the body swapping, as you could see in the trailer. But it releases in theaters this Friday. And I don't know. We had a really energetic screening. There were lots of people there, so I'm kind of curious to see how this one performs in the box office. How do you feel about this movie in general? Is it one you've been excited about?
I feel like I was not like, oh my goodness, like I stop what I'm doing, cancel all my plans.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, great. That should be a silly, fun time. I mean, but the people in this theater, they showed up. They were ready. There were costumes. There was swag, there was excitement throughout, and I had a good time too. But I'm curious if this has like a Barbie effect on the future crowd this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know that it will be to that level, but I think it might be bigger than I was originally anticipating. And like, okay, obviously, elephant in the room. Like, Kirk and I are not the target demo for this movie, but I grew up with older sisters. You have an older sister. It's more targeted towards like young females in general, I would say, but I watched this movie a ton as a kid. Like, it was on in my house all the time. And it wasn't just my sisters putting it on. Like, I wanted to put it on. It was just a fun, like, they don't make a lot of these, like, teenage dramedies anymore. You know, like the Clueless brand of the Mean Girls brand. And this is, like, a little more PG than, I think the original Freaky Friday was PG. Than that. And so it's even to a lower degree. But, like, this used to be a thing. It used to exist, and now it just doesn't. So part of me was like, this feels weird to be watching in a theatrical setting. It almost feels like something that would just be furloughed off to streaming these days. But because it's a sequel tied to a very, very popular old property, I don't know what to think of it, but I do think it will do better than some people expect.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to clear 100 million. I don't know.
Opening weekend? Not
opening weekend, but I think after 2.5 weekends.
I mean, and I think that the budget was probably pretty low, so I feel like they could do well on this one. Disney could. But enough about that. Let's get into it. Let's talk about all of the details, all the things you want to know. What's the deal with these new cast members? What's the deal with this plot? We're going to get into all the details with our normal segments, which, if you're new to the program, are And the Oscar Goes To, which goes to the Best Actor, Scene Stealer, which goes to the Best Supporting Actor. We've got Showstopper, which is our favorite part about the movie. Could be anything. Director's Shoes, which is something that we would change about the movie. And then Last Looks, where we give you our final thoughts and scores. It's all spoiler-free for you today. So anything that's not in the trailer will be off limits to us, and we're ready to rock. Kirk gets to go first. I have nothing to say to that. I think, what was the last movie that we did? I was trying to think if I feel good about not going first on this one or not.
Was it Eddington, or was there something in between there?
There was something. Oh, Naked Gun.
Naked Gun, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I drew the better straw there between these two.
Sure.
So I feel like I got options. I
Maybe.
don't feel like I'm backed into a corner. But
we'll find out.
let me know. And the Oscar goes to who you got?
Julia Butters.
Nice.
What a name. What a Hollywood name that is.
It's a very Hollywood name. I need to like Wikipedia her to see if that's like the actual name. Since she started as a child actor, I would almost guess no.
What? You think no?
I kind of think no.
You think it was immediately a fabricated pseudonym out the gate?
I kind of do, just to protect the family, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'll look it up while
but
you're
it's
talking.
such a good name. It's so perfect. You know Julia Butters from my favorite film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She plays the little girl on the set of the spaghetti western that Leo finds his footing again, right? The Italian spaghetti western. She is an absolute all-star. She comes into this role. She is playing Lindsay Lohan's daughter, and she has to, for that mantle alone, I think is huge, because if you love the original movie of Freaky Friday, you love her character, her spunky teenage angst character, Julia Butters needs to come in, but she has to reinvent it for 2025. And she does so with flying colors. I absolutely love her direction on this, her take on this. She swaps bodies, as you see in the trailer, with her mom. And there are so many moments where there are like vocal reflections of Lindsay Lohan in Julia Butters. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, did they actually swap? You know, because Hollywood's weird. Like, did they actually swap these bodies? Maybe.
Did they do some sort of mystical thing? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very impressive to the level of detail she took to just micro expressions on her face, to the vocal, to her stature, her posture. It's an absolute powerhouse of an acting performance, and I'm glad that it's in here in a movie that is a sequel, a 30-year legacy sequel to a Disney property. I think it's very worthy of helping more people know who she is and just continuing to accelerate her career. I love Julia Butters.
Yeah, she's so talented and just was like clearly leaps and bounds above everybody in this movie, in my opinion. I think that was the obvious choice. And this feels like, I feel like when you look at her career arc, it's almost got like a Natalie Portman type arc to it, in terms of like she was in some, you know, like really high profile, like auteur directed movies early on. And now she's going to get into like some things that help her get her name out there a little bit. Like this is a perfect launching pad for her to just like get it on her resume, you know, big studio picture, big release, like lots of screen time. And from here, it's just like, I mean, the ceiling is extremely high for her. I really do feel that way. So it's a great choice. For my Oscar, I'm going with Jamie Lee Curtis, who I...
Whoa!
Why? Why whoa?
Curveball.
I don't feel like that's a curveball. I feel like I would say outside of Julia Butters, I don't feel strongly about any of the acting performances in this movie at all. And I would say that Jamie Lee Curtis just had a ton of fun and just like was her character again from that original movie. There's like a lot, it was a lot looser than the original movie. I think she had a lot more freedom this time around because she's been through that experience as a character. And so she's kind of turned into this more like zany grandma type character. But I mean, she had a ton of fun. It's definitely like over the top loud, but very comedic. She had a lot of good punchlines in this movie. There's actually a decent amount of laughs in this movie overall, I would say, more than I was expecting. I was expecting the cringe to actual laugh ratio to be more in the cringe direction, but I actually felt like it was pretty even, if not more laughs than cringe. But so Jamie Lee Curtis, that's my pick.
Okay. JLC, you know?
Hey, listen.
As I call her.
I am often critical of Jamie Lee Curtis as well. Did not feel like she should have won the Academy Award for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So I mean, this is a big turn for me. This is showing some maturity on my end.
I love it. I love it. She does have some really good moments. I'm with you. There were a couple moments where she got some of the biggest laughs. I guess we get to move on into Scene Stealer.
Scene Stealer, yeah. Let's go.
I'm gonna go with Lindsay Lohan for those in the back. This is her movie. I mean, I would say, again, spoiler free, folks. I would skeptical of her performance for the movie in the first like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's because we've never seen her in that kind of role. We've never seen her be just a mom. I thought there would be some of the spunk that came from her, from her teenage self, from her original character, but she's transformed. She's like, no, I got to take care of Julia Butters. Otherwise, the whole world is going to fall apart. This is what I have to do. I love her so much. So that was a little hard for me to get through. But then the way I saw Julia Butters portray her, laid Julia Butters' foundation for her entire character. So then I was like, oh wait, there was very, very structured thinking here, as well as when Lindsay Lohan becomes her daughter. It gets zany as well. And I thought that there were some just really excellent moments, great physical work of contorting her body like a teenager, being in teenage kids' clothes as a 36-and-a-half-year-old adult. Like the movement that she did was really refreshing. And again, I'm such an advocate for people to have their comeback tour when they deserve it. Lindsay Lohan is very much deserving of it, and I thought she had a home run here.
Yeah, it didn't, her performance didn't totally work for me. I thought it was better when she was body swapped. Mm-hmm. I thought that came a little more naturally to her, and I think it's just because having the freedom to kind of experiment a little bit more probably on set was working to her benefit. I mean, it's been a long time since she's been in a film like this, so I think there's probably a bit of a learning curve, but I didn't think she was bad. I think her last, you said like theatrical release, there was this weird movie called The Canyons, like some sleazy movie, I think. And before that, I think it was I Know Who Killed Me, which I know you saw it in the theaters. I saw it in the theaters, Cam. You saw it, right? I did not see that.
What?
No, I know nothing about this.
Me and like 6 people saw that movie.
Yeah.
in back in 2007, I don't know, but it was that was quite the movie. But Lindsay, I'm so proud of you, so happy that you're here with us, and let's make Freakiest Friday. Let's see what happens.
I mean, after that, who knows where you go? There's sort of a limit.
It's gonna be like Fast and the Furious, right? They're just gonna go to space eventually.
They'll just call it the Freaky Friday. They'll just add I think Fast and the Furious at one point had a movie where they just dropped the thes.
They did.
Where it was like the Fast and the Furious, and then like number 5 is just Fast and Furious.
Yep.
They could do something like that. Just add the. Okay, scene stealer. Okay. Now I do feel like I'm backed into a corner a little bit.
That's right.
This has left me with a lot of performances I don't totally love. I guess I'm gonna go with Manny Jacinto. I don't really want to go with that. He played Eric Reyes. He was the husband. I feel like I'm kind of torn between him and like Chad Michael Murray, which are not a great place. That's not a great place to be, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, I think the biggest problem with this performance is his character is really the issue. But I feel like within that there are some actual tender moments. And Manny's been around. I think he was in was he in the Acolyte? He was in one of the Star Wars series. Mm-hmm. He was in Top Gun Maverick. Yeah, he was in the Acolyte. But anyway, so yeah, I think there was a lot of times where it felt like he was overacting, but I think that was mostly because of the character and the writing. He's just a little bit too perfect. His guy is a little too perfect, and that's really hard to kind of stay within. But I thought that there were some moments with Lindsay Lohan where he had good scene chemistry with her, and I thought that there were some moments in general, especially later on in the film, where he got the chance to shine a little bit more. Definitely not perfect, but that's probably where I would go, choosing between like, I feel like my choices were kind of stuck between like him, Chad Michael Murray, and then the other daughter whose name is Sophia Hammonds, who played Lily. But I'm going to leave those other 2 on the board.
Vanessa Bayer from SNL.
Yeah, I could have gone with Vanessa Bayer.
She's silly and fun, but there's I did not leave you with a lot well pieces after taking Lindsay off the board.
And I felt like I didn't want to go with somebody who has as small of a role. So
okay.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the actual film itself and talk about Showstopper, what we liked the most about it. Kirk, where are you going?
My favorite moment or sequence in this movie was the first body swap, when everyone is discovering, oh no, we're not in our own bodies. What is happening? It is pure joyous chaos. Them all discovering, them adapting to their bodies, and the immediate dichotomy of who they were, who they're supposed to be, and whose body they're in, and exploring like, oh my gosh, why are my hands look like this, or why do I walk like this? Like, there's so many different, very specific jokes about that, and they all land, every single one of them. That is the strongest point in this movie, and it's a really long sequence, and it on paper it shouldn't work because we know that's going to happen. We know they're going to body swap, and we know there's going to be calamity, but they absolutely nail this sequence. They spent a lot of time on here. There's lots of different locations that we see immediately while they've discovered this, and I absolutely love it. There's not a better moment in the movie.
Yeah, that's a good one. It plays pretty well into mine, which is just the comedy. I thought the comedy in this movie was actually so much better than I was anticipating. I was really, really expecting it to be super duper cringy, just trying to make it like appeal to Gen Z as much as possible, because I feel like they're almost trying to cater to audiences where the parents are our age or maybe a little bit older, and then they're showing their children the original movie and then taking them to go see it. I felt like there was that kind of going on, but they actually had some really funny, well thought out jokes with some nice setup punchlines. Like, yes, there's still some cliche stuff in there. Like, there's certain character archetypes they try to throw in, particularly like around the school with like the principal and the guidance counselor. Yeah. There's a few different like archetypes that they lean into, and when they do that stuff, it doesn't work as well. But otherwise, like, genuinely laughed many times throughout this movie in a way that I totally was not expecting. So that was a really pleasant surprise, and something that I feel like the original film had very well locked down too. There was lots of hilarity in the original film with Jamie Lee Curtis like being a teenage girl and having all of those moments. And this, with the number of people who are body swapping being increased, there were so many more like chances, and I felt like they seized it fully, to your point too, like in that original sequence. But even beyond that, like, I felt like for good portions of the film there were some really legitimate laughs. You talked about Vanessa Bayer's character, very funny as well. So I give them a lot of credit for that. I think they could have really phoned it in on the screenplay, and on plot maybe they did a little bit, but with the actual like the jokes and some of the dialogue, I was pleasantly surprised for sure.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. I like your showstopper, Cam.
Thank you.
Or should I say Kirk? Are we still no, pretending to be each other?
I let go of that bit like 5 seconds.
Oh, okay, cool. Just checking.
Let's move into director's shoes and talk about what we did not like about the film.
Strap in, okay, everybody.
Yikes.
It's not a lot. I would say the biggest downfall for me is that we get some pretty easily digestible characters. We get some easily digestible relationships. That part's good because this is a comedy. What we don't spend enough time on is the relationship between the dad and his daughter. So when we come full circle and you're waiting for an emotional punch for that, it's just not there for me. We didn't get enough time for to see them where they were at, what their circumstances are. We spend a lot more time with Lindsay Lohan and Julia Butters, and I just wanted more of that to be able to have that final catharsis at the end. And I was just like, all right, let's keep going, when they're trying to wrap that up near the end. So that's my biggest beef with this movie. It hurt me a lot.
Yeah, I think my director's shoes, first of all, that's a good call out. Like I didn't feel like, to your point, they were very efficient with their time, meaning like the runtime of the movie I think is 1 hour 51 minutes, and that's plenty of time in a movie like this to cover all your bases. But they spent a lot more time on the front half and not as much time during the conflict of the body swap, like building those relationships and showing how things are changing and showing how the dynamics are changing, so that when you get to the end and there's going to be a payoff of some kind, you're like, I don't know that I'm there for that. Like, I don't know that I'm feeling that. So I think that that's a really good point. Mine, pretty simply, is that this is just a little too busy. Mm-hmm. In general. There's just a lot going on. There's almost like there's too many subplots going on so that when you get to the third act, there's a lot that they have to tie up, and they have to dedicate. You can almost see them like in the writer's room being like, well, we need to have a sequence for this, and we need to have a sequence for this. And some of those sequences where they're like tying up all those ends, we're like, well, we got to have this character and this character in a room so they can see this to each other. We got to have this character and this character have a one-on-one so they're saying this to each other. Like, a lot of those scenes don't work, and I think that's because they were rushed and they were forced, and it's like there was almost certainly places in here to trim and do some of that work on the front end versus trying to put it all on the end, and that makes it really busy. There were some characters too that I'm like, you didn't have to bring that character back. You didn't have to bring this character back. Like they're going for so much fan service that makes it busy too, where it's like we could have done without a lot of these tertiary characters and it would have been a much leaner movie and you would have had more time to build out those relationships. Kind of like to the point that you were making. So the busyness really hurts it. It really, really hurts it. And it also puts holes and continuity. Whenever you get busier, there's more room for gaps in your plot and there's more room for the person watching to mentally check out and go, wait, but that doesn't, because this doesn't line up and that doesn't line up because they did this. And so whenever you over busy your plot, that's what you're going to run into. Right.
Well, because, and I think it's the fact that I think the director didn't spot it. The director has done a lot of TV, some high profile TV and stuff, but that's up to the director to say, this doesn't need to happen. This, or we need to, this can be just a look between two characters that can wrap up their emotional arc, right?
Yep.
Or their comedic arc, right? So that having to have deliberate connections, it's not necessary. So like life isn't so specific. Like you don't always have or know what emotions you want to have to wrap something up or resolve something, or a conversation doesn't need to be word perfect. It can be much shorter and succinct, and an event can happen to bring people close together. They do that most of the time, but then the superfluous characters, they get in the way.
And then that can take you out of it too, because it's already a pretty predictable movie. Like a movie like this is going to be predictable in general, but because you can start to see the setups coming. Oh, now we're going to have a one-to-one conversation with this person. I'm going to mentally check out because I already know where this is going to go. So like the more you do that, the more it becomes an issue for people's suspended disbelief.
I love how you said it's predictable. What if someone walked into this movie having no clue?
They're like, what?
They've never seen the original, and you're like, oh my gosh, can you believe this?
Yes, that would be great. I would love that.
I want to find that person. If you are that person.
Jared Leto.
Right.
He's just come back from a retreat in the desert, and he's been on it for years, and he's seeing this for the first time.
What's going on, everybody? He sounds like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes. For some reason he does. All right. Let's move on to Last Looks. Let me hear your final thoughts and your score on this one.
I think Last Looks should be like Peekaboo. So
I hate that.
Oh, no.
I saw you doing it. I was like, what's he doing?
He's like, I'm going to keep talking so I don't have to cut him in this edit, but I'm going to keep doing it for the next 17 minutes. Last Looks for me, I really had a good time for the majority of this movie. There are dips in momentum. There's some weird audio stuff that happens as well.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
We'll let them find out for themselves on that one. I really was just so happy to see Julia Butters shine. To see Lindsay Lohan shine, Jamie Lee Curtis, even though I dogged on you, she does a good job. She really does.
Rude.
She's very fun in this. You are correct. So overall, it's a decent movie. I'm glad it came to theaters, because anything to get more people back to the theaters and to trust the theaters, trust the movies that are coming to theaters, I'm all for. So I'm going to give this a 6.0 out of 10 kernels.
You dirty dog. That's my exact score. Whoa. I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to change it. Sometimes I do change it a little bit when I hear your score. If I'm feeling waffling on my score, like between two numbers anyway, I'm like, I'm going to change it. I'm not changing it because that's exactly where I'm at. So I'm going to do the opposite of burying the lead, which is that my score is a 6.0 out of 10. In general, there is some hilarious ADR issues that we didn't talk about where it's like, she didn't say that. It's super funny. Like it got so bad at some points where it's like you can see that their mouth is not moving, like their face is showing and there are words coming. And
yes.
You're like, what? It happens like that. That specific thing happens one time, but there are other instances of bad ADR from the back of the head where you can be like, they're not talking at all. So that's funny. But I mean, this movie's going to be a little bit rough around the edges. It does definitely feel very TV in terms of like the lighting and things like that. It doesn't really feel like super high scale, but that works for a movie like this because that's how the original was. And I think that's why it's hard to like, if this were a standalone movie, you might almost be a little bit harder on it, but because it ties back to that original, I look at it and I go, they're giving the fans exactly what they want of that original film. And if you were going out to make a sequel to Freaky Friday, like I could see how you arrive at this point. Like that makes total sense to me. And for the most part, I feel like that works for what they were trying to accomplish. So this gets into that gray area of like, are you analyzing it as a standalone piece of art, or are you analyzing it as like Disney saw this as a commercial opportunity to make a sequel to a commercially very popular film that has existed, and they did a good job at that. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm on that side of the fence on this, where it's like, this is not a cinematic masterpiece. Never was. They didn't go out and try to make a cinematic masterpiece. What they tried to make was a sequel to a very beloved film. I think they did that pretty well, and that's why it's a 6.0 out of 10. Nothing crazy. If you're a fan of the original, I think you'll have a good time. Mm-hmm. Fair to say?
Very fair.
All right, so we are locked in on the exact same score.
That's wild.
Which is cool. It doesn't happen very often. A lot of times we're close. We do have similar opinions, which I know doesn't always make for the most ferocious discourse.
Don't
but
tell them that. If you want to start seeing us fight, like cage fight in here, just subscribe.
Yeah.
Lots of subscriptions will encourage us.
Drop Bicentennial Man on the table and we'll go at it. Or I'm trying to think of some other ones where it's like you love it, I hate it, or vice versa. There's quite a few.
What's that? Raya and the Last Dragon.
I love that. Yeah, I do love that movie. And you're like, I hate that movie.
Don't like it.
You loved Space Jam with LeBron, and I hated it. So
I did like Space Jam too.
It's not that it doesn't happen. I'm just saying. So in any case, please let us know what you think of Freakier Friday. Where do you fall on that whole like dichotomy of like, it's a commercial product or it's a piece of art? Every movie should be viewed as a piece of art, or some movies you can kind of be like, it's more of a commercial property. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think whenever you see the movie in theaters. We always recommend you go see it and form your own opinion. That's what this is all about. But if you're a fan of the original, or not a fan of the original, please let us know your thoughts down in the comments. You can also connect with us on social media. You can also connect with us on our Discord channel. The link to the server is down in the description. It's totally free. You can join us and chat with us all the time. We're in there all the time and available. It buzzes our phones, and we
peekaboo. We peekaboo in there. We chat, we drop in, we drop out.
We do see all that stuff, so it'd be fun to have you in there chatting about movies. But otherwise, like I said, feel free to contact us or connect with us on all of our different social media platforms, on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. I don't know if there are any other threads. That's a thing. And also our website, Popcorn4 Breakfast, which is going to have not only all of our videos and all of our podcasts, but also written blogs by both of us and Stefano, who contributes to this podcast. He writes amazing review blogs. We've got tons of content dropping every single week. But other than that, we want to give a special thanks to our executive producer, Ryan, and our title sponsor, St. Louis Area Smoothie Kings, as well as all of you for watching this video. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.
Talk to you then.